Hello everybody and welcome to the webinar about Solibri Model Checker version 9.7 new functionalities. My name is Anne Urrila. Contents of this webinar includes the main new functionalities of the new version. So new issue handling process, custom relations, company extensions, property value source and updated resources. First of all, let's discuss about issue handling, which is maybe from the most of the users' point of view, the biggest change in this version. Why to change anything which is working quite well, in fact? First of all, handling of issues is maybe the most time-consuming task when you work with the Solibri Model Checker. I mean, checking doesn't take too much time, but investigation issues takes time, and also how to handle issues afterwards, how to collaborate. Also, increased amount of models from different design disciplines and so on, it may show that its amount of models and need for collaboration is increased. And as always, we do something with this, our most important customers is asking. There have been a lot of user requests to make process a little bit more fluent. So let's take back for the history, how the issue handling works in the current version 9.6. I think all of you know this, a communication layout, which looks by default amount like this. So it has a 3D view, some information of the issues below the 3D view, and the presentation view, including viewpoints of all issues and list of presentations. And the known problems are that typically models have huge amount of issues located in many presentations. So the issue list inside one presentation is long and it's quite hard to handle. And it's impossible to see issues in different presentations at the same time. Ordering of issues is not very fluent. You can do it, but it's not very fluent. It's really challenging to have overview for issues by some key values like status or responsibility or creation date or modification date. And also opening and closing issue details dialog requires a lot of repetitive tasks, especially when you create issues from checking results. And it has been impossible to change status or responsibility of multiple issues at once. So we have a new way to handle those issues. By default, the communication layout will look like this one. And I think it's better to go the new functionalities through with the demo. So this is a Solibri Model Checker. I have here the Arboleda building and with some MEP models. I have already checked the model and added some issues to the existing rule results. We'll take a look for that later on, a little bit more detailed. But I have here a presentation about issues in architectural model, 9 issues, and issues related to MEP, 8 issues. In the presentation view, I don't have anything else than this list of presentations. But now I can select multiple presentations at once. It makes it a little bit easier to handle them. And I can see all the issues in the selected presentations in the view called Issues. So this is the issue list. It can have multiple columns like presentation name, number of the issue in the presentation, title, tracking ID of the issue, status. Also can have like responsibility or modification date and so on. So you can add columns here. And you can also organize columns just like in ITO by tracking and dropping. So now I have here according to responsibility. If I select any of those issues here, it's of course selected in the 3D view. And you can see information below the 3D view under it. You can also see it will also be selected in the issue sorter, which is new view as well. I put it a little bit larger. So here you can see all issues related to the selected presentations. And if you want to organize them, you can drag and drop either inside one model, one presentation, or you can also drag and drop between presentations. So you can always organize issues as you want to. If you don't like this kind of horizontal view of the issues, you can always organize your layouts so that it is more like a vertical version, like this. And please note that size of those snapshots is also, you can modify it in the settings. But by default, it's here below. Okay, so we have already two new views, issues and issue sorter. We also have issue details as a view. So issue details dialog used to be something that when you select an issue, you can always edit an issue, and it will open the issue details if it's not already open. If you change values of the issue in the issue details, for example, you can add some new responsibility here. Let's say Elvis Presley here. And it's added automatically here, and I can also take away this architectural model arc from the responsibility list. And also, of course, I can modify a title. I can also set the status something else. I can also add some comments. I think we have some comments somewhere here. So I can also add some comments here, and like that. Comments are also shown here in the right side, in the bottom of the 3D view. And the component lists are the same as the previous, no changes for that. And I can also set that to architect, and I say that it will be assigned as well. So I changed a couple of things to be assigned. In fact, I can show you if I select multiple issues here, I can change all of those to be assigned at once. So I can also modify values by multiple issues at once. And they are always, if I change something here, it's committed automatically. So there are no OK button. It's always committed. The typical situation is that we are in the meeting and you would like to discuss with some specific issues. So you somehow make that selection. For example, you select all issues which are assigned maybe, or also you maybe would like to select about this one and this one. So you can mark some issues with that flag. And then you can toggle that you only see those marked issues. So you can now concentrate on those issues, and you can also, from the issue details, go always to the next one. It helps you to concentrate the issues you are interested in within the group you are discussing with. And then you just toggle off, and you get the all issues shown again. And this marking can be done also in the search from the presentation view. You also already showed that the responsibility list is a little bit different. So it's very easy to add responsibilities just by pushing components like that. And you can also, if I select those two, I can set MEP to be responsible for this, so by multiple issues. And if I have different responsibilities like this and select this, you can see that yes, some of the issues those people have in my selection. The issue details is a view also in the checking side. So if I go to the checking and take a look for the checking results, let's take a look some easy parts here like wall-wall intersections. We take a look for that. We investigate just as before and say, in fact, this is a problem. So let's add a slide. So I add a slide, an issue detail view will open. And it's automatically rejected just as before, and the picture is also there. So now you can either close the dialog and go forward, or maybe you would like to move it to be part of your layout. And then you can go to the next one. And if you make the decision that you add the slide here, you get this automatically. And then you can go back to the previous one. Okay, it's of course it's over there. And if you have a slide, it has there. So adding a slide creates issue. And of course, you can also add the responsibilities. So maybe not map architect is responsible for that. So it allows you to work without opening and closing the issue details all the time. So let's take a little bit more details. Once again, what has been changed? Issue details is a view, and this is a change for the current situation. Values are committed automatically. No need to close between issues. Can be located in your layout as you like. Coordination information will be shown in the top of the view. Responsibilities are fast to set and remove. And also all comments, even the comments come from the different persons, they are now shown in the same list, so you can see the whole story. Marking of issue is also a new functionality. So you can mark interesting issues by right-clicking them. And you can then toggle to see only marked or all issues in the issue view. You can also mark by using search. And you can also report only marked issues. Once again, presentation view includes only presentations. Issues view has a list of all issues in the selected presentations. And it's organized from left to right, so you can use as many columns as you want to organize it. It's quite easy to see the organized issues. It works in the same way than in ITO. And you can add and remove columns in the table. Issue sorter view shows all issues in the selected presentations, and you can reorganize your presentation by dragging and dropping issues. Issue details view include details of selected issues, and you can also work with the multiple issues at once. Bottom of the 3D view is also reorganized. Why we have done this? If you remember the list I told you before demo, there has been problems with showing multiple issues in all presentations at once. Now it's possible. It is possible to concentrate only interesting issues by setting flag on. And you can drag and drop between presentations. Issue details view can be open all the time, so you don't have to close and open, close and open. And you can work with the multiple issues at once. And of course, when you make some change, you can also add a common comment. So it's simplified and reduce effort to work with the issues. So that was the first big change in the version 9.7. The second one, a little bit maybe more technical, even there is a very practical for every user, some nice feature as well, is the custom relations. SMC has an ability to kind of identify logical connections between objects located originally in different IFC files. For example, nearest spaces, it has been originally introduced already in version 9.1, meaning that if you have a terminal located in between two spaces in the wall, it says that both of the spaces are its nearest spaces. If you have some furniture located inside a space, of course the nearest space is only that space. Typically, a door has always two nearest spaces, corridor and office spaces. A long wall can have a huge list of nearest spaces. So component knows the space it is kind of logically includes, and the space knows those components. So it's a relationship generated by SMC, and it can be different components between different IFC files. Now we have introduced a new custom relation called Federated Floor, meaning that SMC can identify a logical floor for each component. And note, we are not changing existing relations in IFC files. So they're still the same relationships exist. So they are new added relations. And user can modify those relations as well. They can be used in checking and reporting. You can have a rule that if every floor having, for example, oven, have to have also the electrical socket for what is required for that, or any other component. And you can create an ITO that MEP components can be listed by architectural floors, kind of real floors as well. So I think we go to the demo. Use the same model. Traditionally, if I'm interested now from the, let's say, third floor, I go to the architectural model and try to find third floor, set to selection basket. Then I go to the plumbing model, try to find the third floor and add that. And then I go to the next one. Very hard. And for example, newbie users, this has been quite hard way to understand why I can't see all the components located in the same floor. So now we have a new hierarchy here called Federated Floors. And if I'm interested in, let's say, story 5, I just select that one and I can see all components related to that floor. So SMC identifies between different IFC files what is kind of a logical floor I should include in. I can see this relationship from info view. We have changed the color how IFC relationships has been shown, the same color than the IFC property sets, so that the black means that SMC has, that is something SMC has set or defined. So let's take a look. I go back to this for the ventilation file, and let's go to this floor and search the air terminal. Let's say this one, 2.6. This one. Let's say put that to a selection basket. It's a normal air terminal located somewhere. If you take a look for the relations, first of all, you can see from the Federated Floors that it belongs to the story 5 in architectural model, even though, of course, the original containment is ventilation model. It also has nearest spaces, 2 of them, and I can also show them in the custom relations view, like here. Oops. I can see that those 2, it's a kind of correct way because it's located kind of between those 2 spaces, so we don't know to which one it's really related, or maybe it's okay to have those 2. I think it's okay. So we are satisfied for that. Then let's change some other. Let's take this here, the other air terminal. I know this one is interesting. So that one is located over there. And let's take the Faraday nearest spaces of that. So it's located in this path room. SMC has kind of found out that this air terminal belongs only to this path room. It doesn't have any other near kind of logical location space, nearest space. But I think we know better. So I take a look for the all spaces in that floor. Put them to the selection basket for a while. Oh, that one as well. And think that, okay, this bedroom should include also, or this air terminal should include also that bedroom. So I put that bedroom to my selection basket. I still have my air terminal here, and I now relate from selection basket to the air terminal. And I get here that now it belongs to both of those, and it's shown in italics so that I know it's related by the user. I can also show only related by user relations. I can also unrelate something if I want to. I select here and show only unrelated, and I can unrelate from here if I think this doesn't belong. This space doesn't belong to the air terminal. Sometimes, for example, in Federated Floors, you maybe have to fix something, because if the models are not very well defined, it's possible that also SMC has some problems to kind of define the correct way, but you can always fix them, and those fixed relations are of course saved in the model. So we have that new hierarchy in the model tree where you can easily see all components in the same logical floor. And you can see the defined relations, and you can modify them by yourself. So there is a new view called Custom Relations. You can easily find them from Relations tab. There is a pop-up menu here. Or of course you can just open the view from the list of all views. And there is quite a lot tools here. I just list them through now. When you start to test by yourself and play with yourself, you will find out what are the things you would like to use. And please notify, maybe you never have to go there. Maybe you never have to, if you have good models, I mean, if the elevations and floors are well defined, the Federated Floors works very well, no problem for that. And if you are not need any near spaces, you don't maybe never have to open this view, so don't be too scary. There's a lot of tools here. First of all, you can select the hierarchy, how you would like to see components in the left side. Same hierarchy as that in the model tree. In both tables, you have two tables here, or table trees. You have selection basket tools, the same tools than any other view has. You can select what relationship type you would like to see, either nearest spaces or Federated Floors. In the future, we may have some other ones as well. You can relate components from the selection basket to the currently selected component in the left side. You can see all or only related by user or unrelated or automatic. You can select what relationships you would like to see. You can restore the user set relations either from the selection basket or selected components. And then you can also unrelate and relate. So why this has been done? Well, the main reason for the Federated Floors is the easiness to visualize models by floors, including components in all IFC files you have. And you have more checking and reporting possibilities. Nearest spaces is very important information, for example, in COBE, which is an extension widely used in UK. And also there is a need sometimes to modify that relationship. So that's why the custom relations view is added. Anyway, it's easy the main reason is to help user to handle models generated by multiple sources, which is typical case in building industry. Company extensions in cloud. Why? The third large new thing we have. There is a need in large companies that there is a one or two kind of super users who create rule sets, classifications, ITOs used in the company. And a huge amount of users who would like to use them. There has to be an easy way to upload and download and use company-specific resources. There is a possibility that you would like to edit, an end user needs to edit, for example, rule sets inside one model, but it's not allowed to kind of override existing company resources. So there has to be some protection for that. It's also possible that when you share your models, for example, between your designers, the other designers, those shared models has your rule sets, and it's okay to them to use them in your own project, but not save as, for example, ITOs or classifications, or used by some other project and so on. You cannot do that if they are originally from extension, so it's a protection also. The functionality itself is still in beta phase. We are collecting some information how you would like to use what we already know some new requirements for that. We will do some improvements later on. Anyway, the idea is to easiness to control and share company-specific resources. So we have our super user who is working with Solibri model checkers, creating rule sets, ITOs, classifications. We have a group of users just using SMC, working in the projects. So what the super user has to do, he has to use the new tool called SRE tool, Solibri resource extension tool, and he or she will save a package, create a package of resources he or she would like to share. It will be uploaded to Solution Center, and in the Solution Center they are protected, so only company users of that company can use them. That SRE tool is part of Rule Set Manager. I can in fact show it a little bit. We don't have time to go with detailed through, but anyway, there is a new layout now called Extension Manager here. And I don't know what is loading so long. And in that Extension Manager, you can find some new views where you can work. Okay, now you can view, you can work with the when you're creating new resources. So you can create here in the account extension. It's just list your extension. You can open or add new ones. I don't want that. And then when you have that one, you can add, for example, some ITOs or classifications. Where I have my classifications over there. Classifications and rule sets. And so on. It's also so that I have some broken links because I have added the information take up, but I haven't added the template for that. So if I put that hyperlinks template here, so now my hyperlinks are correct, and now it works better. And then I can save it and continue with the same day or later on, and then I can export that as a jar file. And when I have exported, this is kind of list of all things you can add. So you can add roles, rule sets, classifications. You can have some broken links, you have information takeoff, and also some templates. When I have saved my extension and exported that as a jar file, I can call my solution center as an admin user. We have a new tab, company extensions, and there is a possibility to add new extension. I just choose the jar file I just saved, write my short description. I can use that default logo, or I can upload some JPN file, and I can use that as a logo. And I also have to add a version, and then I generate my extension. After I have uploaded it, email will be sent to the admin and told that yes, your extension has now generated, and then you can assign that extension to users who you would like to use that. And after that, it works just like any extension, also just like public extensions from the user point of view. That was company extensions. Fourth, this is a small thing. Asked a lot by some users, typically users who are quite deep inside IFC. But this is kind of more transparency, how the IFC files are read and what kind of information there is. First of all, some background information. In IFC files, I use wall as an example, but it's the same thing for component, columns, beams, slabs, and so on. We have those geometrical components. A wall you can see in the model. That wall is maybe, typically is, referred the wall type. And from that wall type, it gets some properties like material or maybe some classification information and things like that. So we have walls and wall types in the model. And walls are shown in the 3D view. And the wall has defines by type relation to the wall type. And from that wall type, it gets part of its properties. Complex, maybe. Those properties, any property from IFC, they are either set to the wall itself, meaning the geometrical component, or to the wall type. You have always seen all of them in the info view, and if they are those property sets, the name of the property sets is in gray here, blue-gray. Now there is a difference. If the property sets is in the components itself, its font is just as before, but if it comes from the type, it is in italics. Also, the property inside a property set, you know, there can be similar, same name property sets both in type and in the component itself. If the property is defined in the type instance, in the wall type, it is in italic. And same, the value is shown in italic if it's from the type. If it's from the component itself, it is shown in the normal font. And if there are different values in type and in instance, you can have this kind of situation. The value of the instance, I mean the geometrical wall, it overrides the value of the type, that is according to IFC. But the type value is also shown in the info view and strike true in that case. So that you can see that yes, in the type it has a different value than in the component itself. Also, in the identification tab, we used to always have this type, and value of the type or type name comes from the type where it's related to, or if, and this is according IFC, if a component like a wall has pset wall common reference property, the type name is the value of that property. Sometimes it is not good to have different type names in type instance and in the component itself. For example, in Kobe, this is a kind of thing you would like to find out. That's why we now show both of them here in the identification tab. In most of the cases, values are the same. But for example, in this case, there is a value called reference, obviously a mistake, in the pset wall common reference property, but the type name is something totally else. And now it's possible to create a rule which checks that they should be same. If it's not same, the rule creates issue. So you can check these things. Okay, that. And the last but not least, default resources has been updated. Default resources, I mean rule sets, ITOs, classifications, templates, everything which comes with the installer. If you are working in the English version, if you install in English, you get English default resources. If you install in Japanese, you will get Japanese. The idea of the update for those default resources is to get more advanced out-of-the-box situation, mostly for the newbie users, trial users. If your company has your own rule sets and things, you are not using those defaults anymore. Then it's not for you, but it's good to know. Those resources, especially English one, have to work in various markets and various companies. For example, they cannot be only one classification. Well, there is only one classification typically used in the default files, but there are different classification systems in different part of the world, so those defaults cannot be country or company specific. So the out-of-the-box resources should work better in these different markets. And there are also some new rules and examples. So the most important changes are classifications. Building elements uniformat has been replaced by more general classification, building elements general, which is not according to any classification system. And of course, all rule sets, roles, and ITOs who is using this classification has been updated as well. There are some more rules in existing rule sets based in the updated classifications. We are often asked more rules, but quite often you need to kind of identify components before you can check. And now if the classification is made well, you have more rules like ventilation room has to have a drainage. The important change is that rule sets checking architectural and structural models and their correspondency. Rule templates 223 and 224, meaning rules checking that structural components are inside architectural one and architectural components are filled by structural components when needed. They are removed and those templates will be deprecated, and instead of those rule templates, the rule templates 234 is used. It allows more specific, for example, tolerances or dimensions, different dimensions to the bottom, below and above and side and things like that. So the algorithm is also updated, so it works better. If you need a detailed list of all changes, just send us email. We will send you the list of all changes. It's a 4-page long document. So that's all. Thank you.